Strong winds ripping through the foothills and Front Range this afternoon. Parts of the state are facing a dangerous combination of dry conditions and winds that have really elevated our fire danger.
That wind has been wreaking havoc, especially in northern Colorado. Take a look at these pictures. The winds picked up dust and led to brownout conditions. This is Highway 93, and this is what it looked like earlier today. The wind also proved challenging to drive for semi-truck drivers. Colorado State Patrol reported several overturned semis that led to the closure of I-25. There's one of them right there. We saw this one on I-70.
A neighborhood in Fort Collins had a scare today, too. Evacuations have now been lifted for a fire that sparked in the area on the northwest side of the city. Poudre Fire Authority says crews have the fire contained, and now they're working on mop-up work. Again, folks can go back home. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Meckles, in for Kim Christensen today.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. We are going to continue right now team coverage for you. Our Corey Reppenhagen spent the day tracking the wind in some of the hardest hit areas. You see him there. But we are going to begin with Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin with the latest conditions. Kathy.
Hi there. Yes, while we are expecting the worst of the wind to occur today, we're going to continue to talk about critical fire weather conditions for Friday and for Saturday. Temperatures warmed into the 60s and 70s. A lot of the moisture coming out of the atmosphere with those gusty winds, which have now gone to 94 miles per hour in the Buckeye area, 90 plus in Boulder County, Larimer County, and also in the Jefferson County area. Call ahead if you have travel plans in or out of DIA as flights have been affected. So far, so good. Haven't seen a lot of blowing snow on I-70 today. Temperatures trending warmer with the wind shift and the increase in wind, which is worse to the north of us. Extremely gusty from Fort Collins out to Fort Morgan and now down south to Centennial and Castle Rock. Some of the wind will decrease around sunset, but the foothill wind looks to continue off and on overnight tonight into part of the day tomorrow. So we do remain under a red flag warning, Denver included, until 9 o'clock tonight. And the high wind warning will now extend out until noon tomorrow for the potential for trees down, power lines down, and of course the semi-trucks, the high-profile vehicles trying to get north into Wyoming. We have a little bit of cloud cover coming in, high pressure coming in from the west, low pressure north and east, creating that tight gradient. We're in the 60s now, dropping into the 50s by midnight, so not a cold night coming up, but we'll continue with the wind forecast and the critical fire weather for another 48 hours ahead of a weekend storm that will bring cold and snow to Denver. Details and timing on that coming up.
Kathy, thank you. The wind's been causing a lot of damage along the foothills today.
Images continue to trickle into our newsroom. At Colorado State University, classes, meetings, activities all canceled because of the impact of the high wind. Trees fell down on campus. One even landed on top of a car. University is advising folks to stay indoors if they can and just really be aware of the debris if you go outside.
More of the same in Estes Park, where the winds toppled trees and kept power crews busy today trying to keep the lights on. Officials say crews have been on the clock since 2 a.m. dealing with wind impacts.
And in Evergreen, strong gusts downed trees and caused damage to a home and a car. You see it there. This is one of the 30 incidents Evergreen Fire Rescue says they have had to respond to today.
So let's go out to meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. You've been feeling this all day long, getting blown around by the wind, and you're in the Coal Creek Canyon area now.
Yeah, exactly. The Jefferson County foothills have been rocking quite a bit all through the day. Right now, the winds are relatively calmer compared to what we saw earlier today. We're still getting those 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, and the warning is still out. We could get a rogue gust every once in a while, but when the extreme winds were happening, things really did get chaotic right here at the base of Coal Creek Canyon. There's a weather station here that's owned by CDOT that records the wind gusts, and it recorded an 81 mile per hour gust right at 9:30. I was standing right down here when that happened, and there was a semi truck that overturned at that moment and covered all the lanes of Highway 93. They had to shut that down, and then a dust storm started to develop, and it was intense. You may have seen a little bit of video of that. I'll show you a little bit more as that dust storm kicked up. It lasted about two and a half hours. Every 10 or 5 minutes, there would be a gust of wind that would pull that dust across the road, and visibility on the road would go from decent to absolutely zero in a flash. So dangerous driving conditions because of the dust storm and with the high winds on top of that, blowing the high profile vehicles down. Now, we haven't seen any of those dust storms pop up over the last 4 or 5 hours. But what happened back here was the reason why we're seeing so much dust this time around. There was a grass fire back here about a month ago, the first week of February, burned 130 acres of that tall grass prairie that's right in front of the Boulder Flatirons. And that grass, even when it's dead and dormant, does a great job of holding on to the soil. But now that that's been burned away, that soil was free to run, and the wind really had a field day with that all day. But right now, things are calmer, there's no dust storms, and Highway 93 is open at the moment. So reporting live at the base of Coal Creek Canyon, I'm meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for the 9 News Weather Impact Team.
Corey says calmer, but we can still hear the winds whipping behind him. So
All relative, I guess. Corey, thank you.
So the lights are out now for thousands of power customers across Colorado. Xcel showing more than 19,000 customers without power at this hour, and crews are addressing the outages. Xcel saying it is considering some planned shutoffs now. They hadn't originally, but now they're looking at it in Boulder and Jefferson counties for Saturday because more high winds and high temperatures in the forecast.
Meantime, there are more than 3,800 Core Power customers experiencing outages right now, with the majority impacting Clear Creek and Park counties.
That hoax bomb threat at Adams City High School yesterday brought out the fears that we have seen far too often in Colorado. It also tied up resources.
Police arrested 2 teenagers accused of calling in a fake bomb and active shooter threat. That hoax call included a fake blood trail inside the school. 9 News reporter Spencer Soisher explains why that swatting call affected more than just the people at that school.
So I kind of got scared and I just ran out the school because I didn't want to get myself into danger or anything.
Wednesday's swatting call at Adams City High School did more than just terrify parents, educators, and their students.
It makes it a worry to send her back to school tomorrow.
That call wasted time.
So active shooter and cover were both that call.
And resources. Police say more than 200 officers from agencies around Denver responded.
And then you can see there's 2 calls that come in between those 2 calls.
Joanna Small with Commerce City PD says while police officers were at the high school, there were about 24 other calls that came in.
And this was a mass response to what we believe to be an active shooter. So your worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario means all hands on deck, which means less hands for anything else.
Medical call, protection order violation, accident hit and run, transient problem, check well-being.
Small says the response required the FBI and about 12 other local agencies to respond. And while sometimes it's easier to determine a call as a hoax, yesterday's went further than normal.
Yeah, this trail of what we now have determined was some kind of a fake blood substance really threw officers for a loop. Obviously, that leads us to believe that there are injuries.
There's no question but that the economic impact of a swatting incident is going to go into play a big part of what happens to the juveniles involved.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says the cost to send law enforcement and first responders from across the area and their time wasted will be a factor in the swatters' legal case.
Yeah, it was a lot of calls.
And that response came at a price for others in the community who actually needed help.
The response time is certainly going to be slowed when we have all of our resources poured into one location and one call.
There's no good time for a hoax, and obviously we're glad this wasn't a real school shooting, but had this happened today with the fire weather and strong winds, this could have been even more consequential. Firefighters could be at a swatting call while a fire breaks out. And Phil and Jenny, we all know how crucial time is in firefighting. Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
All right, Spencer, thank you. Arapahoe County Sheriff's deputies arrested an 11-year-old boy suspected of killing his 5-year-old brother. This is an awful story. Experts say the boy's ages will play a large part in how this case proceeds. Deputies say they were called to this home on South Jericho Way in Centennial Tuesday evening. Investigators say the 5-year-old died at the home and confirmed the case is now being investigated as a homicide. The main suspect, the boy's 11-year-old brother, who was taken into custody and is facing a first-degree murder charge. 9 News legal expert Scott Robinson says if he was 3 or 4 years older, the case would likely go to adult court.
Because of this young man's age, he's sure to start in juvenile court. And then it's up to the prosecutors to decide if they want to try and transfer it to adult court. At age 14, 15, 16, highly likely the individual will be charged as an adult if they can show it's a murder after deliberation. That's first-degree murder in Colorado. But short of that, at age 11, that's just barely at the age of criminal culpability.
Yeah, and here in Colorado, a child younger than 10 years old can't legally be held responsible for committing a crime. They have not yet released a cause of death to us. Police say the investigation into exactly what led to this child's death is still active.
The state health department is now reporting 2 more measles cases tied to the outbreak at Broomfield High School. They're also still investigating a possible 3rd new case. All 3 people are part of the same household contacts of a previous case. The latest 2 measles cases happened in people who are not vaccinated and who were already in quarantine. The 3rd person did not quarantine because we're told they were vaccinated. This now brings the total number of cases confirmed to 9 tied to this outbreak, potentially 10. Officials are warning of a possible exposure now at the Bout Time Pub and Grub sports bar in Arvada.